In today's episode of the Pathmark Presents podcast, I'm with Dani and she's hailing over from Lumen5. Basically, it's a B2B video maker. I like the word B2B video maker, and it has a lot of applications, obviously in the sales context, but actually content is something that we want to talk about today. Like, how does a new form of content really look like, and how does Lumen5 play into this? I want to talk with Dani about what she's doing at Lumen5, a little bit about her journey and how she's thinking about growth. She's the communications and community manager at Lumen5. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Lucas. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Give us that 360 overview. What is Lumen5 all about?
Yeah, for sure. So really, we're a B2B video creation tool made by marketers for marketers. So for marketers who are hoping to grow their business beyond just written thought leadership content. So I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, like, content is still king, but the way that people are consuming it is now completely different. And the world of B2B business decision making has changed dramatically throughout the last few years. So nowadays we're in a state where authenticity and trust are more important than ever. People buy from people, they don't really buy from companies. And when companies are only pushing out written content talking about their products, that's only going to push away your consumers. So really, we're entering a world of social selling and community, and content is also evolving as well away from written content. So that's really what we want to do. We want to help people make videos, which is one new form of content, really easily from your written content. Work smarter, not harder.
Very good. Maybe give us an example. Like, how would a marketer, like in sort of practical terms, we have a lot of marketers listening, so I think they're very in tune with, like, how do you get content ready, like what is actually getting involved into getting a good video out there. Like, tell us maybe sort of the experience. What is the steps somebody's going through in order to use Lumen?
Yeah, for sure. So there's many ways you can start a video using Lumen5. So one of the easiest ways really is if you have like an existing blog post or article that you've written up, you can either paste the blog post within the Lumen5 video editor, or you can import through a link directly. And what the AI system will do is actually it will scan your article for keywords, and it will suggest like clips that will fit your article. Also, it will pull specific phrases from the article so that it creates a really engaging text on video that's ready for sharing. All you need to do is jig it around and make sure it fits your brand.
That makes it very tangible, very clear to understand. Okay, very good. Who is using Lumen5? You mentioned it's for marketers, like in B2B, obviously. Like, are we talking startups? Are we talking large enterprise? Are we talking mid-sized businesses? Whose types of companies are using Lumen?
Yeah, so we started our market really in the consumer space. So a lot of, solo entrepreneurs, a lot of small businesses, but now like we're realizing that a lot of large companies, even when they have a large content production team, or even if they're using agency, they're still using Lumen5. And the reason being is because, outsourcing this kind of video content production to a large agency, it's very costly. And if you're doing it internally also, it could lead to a lot of roadblocks or bottlenecks because, your team has so many requests coming in. So we're actually seeing more and more B2B customers come in. Some of our customers that are quite large include, for example, like Siemens. They're huge, and they're using us across a lot of their regional offices as well, because they just want to make videos really quickly. So we really scale the video production process for a lot of like these larger B2B companies.
Okay, very cool. How do people hear about Lumen5? Like, what's the way, B2B marketers learning about it? Is that, in other words, what are sort of the client acquisition channels that you guys are leveraging?
Yeah, for sure. So our main channels right now are through paid and referrals. So in the past, we've focused a lot on the solopreneur and SMB sector, as they're normally short on resources, right, when it comes to multimedia content production. So we focus a lot on, paid keywords around that. For example, like video maker, video creator, video production. And then now slowly we're realizing that it's not just these people who are needing help. So now we've really built an inbound engine. So with like content, written content, video content, also, for example, like lead magnets such as white papers and webinars. So people can actually come in and find this community of people who are content creators looking beyond just written content. So really, it's kind of that thought leadership play of building like a brand around what your product offers and making sure we're also exchanging knowledge in the space.
And when you're thinking about the current website, right? I mean, everybody who's involved in marketing or communications has their own sort of perspective on the website. How do you think about the website? What do you think is the current sort of strength versus where do you even see, interest or ideas for improving it?
Are you talking about our current website?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think one thing with our website right now is that it's not really easy for people to find resources. So right now, if you go on our website, it's quite easy for you to take a look at the product and maybe understand what we do and the customer case studies. But I think when it comes to actually understanding, what is the intrinsic value beyond just the product, for example, like what are the best practices that, we're able to teach you, or some of the upcoming events that are coming up, it's not really structured in a way that's easy to find. And we're really trying to solve that. Another thing I think that's been really popular in the last few years is the use of chatbots. So we do have a chatbot using Intercom on our website right now, but it's not used in a way that really inhibits the customer journey. So right now it is used more of a support. So with the customers that come in, they can, ask a quick question and their support team will get back to them. But I think a bigger opportunity, which we're going to be shifting in the next quarter, is using a chatbot as like a choose your own adventure journey. So making sure people come in, what is it that you're coming here for? Is it for resources? Are you trying to buy something, or do you just need help? And this way we can give them a customized experience.
Very cool. Very cool. Are you personally involved on the website work as well? Because I'm trying to learn a little bit more about what communication, because we had communication managers, we had marketers, like what's the sort of the areas of responsibility for communications and community manager and Lumen5, so people can sort of wrap their head around the role as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I think my role is a little bit unique in the sense that our company is quite small. So we're around 50 employees right now, and the marketing team is very small. So right now, I'm kind of in charge of the voice and tone and rebranding of our brand, essentially, because we're moving away from that consumer space. So we're running a few positioning workshops and voice and tone workshops in the next few weeks or so, just to kind of like get that language down and to really come up with the calendar of the programs that we want to run, the campaigns, and also the content that we're pushing out. So the website is part of that rebranding strategy as well, where we're going to be rejigging what are the main sections of the website that we want people to discover, and maybe some of the portions that are no longer needed, that's just taking up bandwidth.
Yeah, super interesting. Okay. Maybe last question on the website before we're moving on, because it's an interesting topic, obviously, on the show. How do you guys go about figuring out why people do or do not convert on the website? Sort of what is sort of your go-to methodologies, approaches, maybe technologies, maybe, the team has been, how does the team at Lumen5 try to figure out why people do or do not convert on the page?
Yeah, sure. We're a pretty transparent company, so we don't mind sharing tech stack. So the CRM that we use is HubSpot. So most of our landing pages are tracked through HubSpot, and we create campaigns within that. So if we share something on social, for example, that's related to that landing page, or if a lead comes in through, the landing page and goes into our nurture, we can tie them back to that specific campaign and see which ones actually end up converting. So that's one way. Another way that we do it is also through Google Analytics. So every time we share something, it is UTM tagged. So we're able to actually, track conversion goals from there. And it's kind of like a back-end dashboard where we kind of get, a little bit more specific about what pages are converting and whatnot.
Very cool. Very good. Let's switch gears a little bit. Like I was saying, I would love to learn a little bit more about yourself. So there's a lot of marketing content out there, right? And there's a lot to read. There's a lot to dive into. What's your go-to places? Like, how do you filter content out there, for communication management, for brand, for voice, for messaging? What's your favorite places to keep on educating yourself as well?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I love doing is just being on LinkedIn. So I think there's so many great LinkedIn, I don't like to say the word influencers, but really that's what they are. LinkedIn creators out there that are really, talking a lot about their day-to-day work. What are the things that they have done wrong and what they've learned, and also the success stories. I think what I really like about today's age in B2B marketing is that people are willing to share. It's not like before where it's like, oh, these are my trade secrets, don't take them away. Nowadays, I think it's more of a community of like, hey, we've done this, don't make the same mistakes as us. And I really love that about LinkedIn.
Very cool. I have some rapid fire questions to wrap up the interview. Are you ready for those?
Yeah, let's do it.
What is the last book that you read?
The last book. The last book, let me think. Oh, I don't remember. Hold on, I'm gonna have to look at this. It's actually here. So it's called the Traveling Cat Chronicles. So I read a mix of business books, but also books for pleasure. So this one is one of the ones just for fun. And yeah, it's about a cat and from the perspective of a cat, where they travel around Japan with their owner, and their owner is trying to find a new home for them. So it's a very philosophical story.
Nice, very cool. What's one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Yeah. So one thing that we're doing right now is really trying to build this community of people who are thinking beyond written content. So with that being in mind, we are also launching a B2B marketing podcast called Supercharge Marketing, where we're trying to get, more brand leaders on there in the space. And also we're seeking more marketers in the space as well to collaborate on content and events together.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, right? Everything is possible. You have like a magic wand. What's the one thing you would fix for your role?
Ooh, one thing I would fix. I would love to be able to, create content that fits our customers' preferences perfectly because, rapid testing a lot of this content, it still takes a lot of time and you never know what really sticks. So you just got to keep on producing.
And maybe that's the last question. I would do sort of a bit of a time travel, right, to wrap up the journey for today. And I would love to go to the BD School of Business at Simon Fraser University, go back to the days. And essentially, I would love for you to give me an insight into, if you would go back to the days of education, right? Now you're heading off into the world of marketing. What's the one advice you would give yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I think if I was just starting off my career again, back in university, I would tell myself to have more belief. I think we have a lot of marketers out there who are very technical and they're kind of married to the numbers. And don't get me wrong, numbers are great and numbers give us data points, but they're not the end all be all. And I think a lot of growth marketing leaders, I hate to say this, but they tend to use numbers and data as a crutch. So in my opinion, I think there needs to be more of a balance in that. Like we actually need to have more belief and courage to try new things, but do them in a small enough scale to test. So if you see some indication that it's starting to work, then double down, but you got to have belief first.
Dani, I really appreciate you taking time to be a guest on Pathway Presents.
Thank you so much, Lucas. I had a lot of fun.